These two, one a coach on the team, the other a professional hockey player in his prime, had fallen in love. Not only that, but they'd decided it was time to come out, and the Railers had hired me to manage the fallout. Because there would be fallout, that much was certain. "It's going to come at you from all directions," I said. Tennant frowned at me. His emotions were written plainly on his face. He was angry, defensive, scared, happy, positive, and negative, all in one horrible mess. The only thing I could pin down was that he was absolutely in love with Jared and completely convinced of what he wanted to do. "Go on," Jared said, and he laced his fingers with tens. They could in here. We were alone, the three of us, with the door closed and no cameras, but this was the first thing they needed to handle. "You need to be careful with public displays of affection." I saw two very different reactions. Jared looked resigned and nodded, but Ten bristled with the start of genuine indignation. I knew what he was going to say, and I headed him off at the pass. "It shouldn't matter," I began, choosing my words carefully. "But this isn't going to be easy. There will be the religious fans deciding you're going against God, right down to the parents who don't want their kids exposed to non-heteronormative behavior. The spectrum of reaction will be varied. You'll get some who advocate for you, the team, the management, and fans who don't give a shit what you do in your private time as long as 10 is scoring goals." "We know that," Jared said. "We don't have to like it," Ten said, and his tone was worrying. He sounded miserable, and he was fully leaning against Jared. I shuffled the papers on the desk, lining them up to give myself time to think. I'd managed personal clients before, polished them as a product, managed their every moment until they learned how to act in public and how to make the best of who they were. Only those had been people who needed to clean up their act. I'd helped the telecom company with their painful downsizing and a college with an equality issue. I was the best at what I did, and I worked hard to make things right for people. But this? The two of them didn't have to come out publicly. They could go on being the secret that wasn't a secret, at least until Ten's playing days were done. He might be only 22, but a professional career doing what these players did was often over by their early 30s. Sometime sooner, I thought, when I recalled that a heart problem had sidelined Jared from his professional career. 10 would only have to wait another decade or so to retire. Was that something he'd be willing to do? I had to ask the question and hoped I didn't lose the confidence of either man. "You could stop this now," I said bluntly. Jared was the first to speak. "I know, but we won't stop." Ten bit his lip. "We want this." I nodded and looked down at my notes, but I didn't need them. I'd had my own share of prejudice in life, plenty of life experience to tap from. "The press will love you and hate you equally. If the Railers lose, it will be reported widely in different ways. The quality press may well suggest that Ten was distracted, with the implication being that Jared here is the distraction. The gossip sites could suggest that maybe you're having too much gay sex with your gay coach. On the other hand, if you win, it could be suggested that you freaked out the other team, that maybe they didn't want to be near you. Then there are the really shitty things they can say. They could bring up skating accidents, blood, HIV. It might not stop with criticism about your sexual orientation, but could become something bigger." "And on a positive note?" Jared asked dryly. "Sorry." I sat back in my chair. "I needed to explain that to you up front." "We already know all that," Dan said tiredly. "And I'm here as your supporter in this. We're in open dialogue with various equality and sports groups. Locker rooms should be safe, and sports venues should be free from homophobia. Athletes should be judged on talent, heart, and work ethic, not sexual orientation and/or gender identity." Dan mumbled the whole mission statement of one of the biggest groups advocating for equality. "That's what we're aiming for." "Okay, so where do we start?" Ten said, and gripped Jared's hand tight. "I'm not big into hockey," I began. Jared looked shocked. Ten's mouth fell open. "But that doesn't stop me understanding the social and economic issues we're facing with this." "You don't like hockey?" Ten said incredulously, like that wasn't a possible thing in his world.